Hey, with your evening story channel, I post new interesting stories every day. Subscribe and click the bell to not miss it. Camille realized at a young age that the best thing in life is not to reveal her true inner self to people, not to show her vulnerability, impressionability, and dreaminess, and also that she's a little imaginative. She did that for most of her life, sometimes and so entered the image of a strong woman. The colleagues at work and many acquaintances who appeared in her life not so long ago began to call her for the eyes. Iron Lady. The Iron Lady worked in the human resources department of a transportation company. She met Stephen at a refresher course, when computerization was just beginning and accountant engineers and all office workers and even officials mastered computers learned computer science. Many were familiar with the basics and many started from scratch. Camille was beautiful, dark-eyed, and most importantly smart and erudite. She immediately caught Stephen's eye. He began to court the young woman very persistently, and after a while he got a job in their firm. Quite quickly took one of the management positions, became the head of the logistics department. Was a good specialist, even to not miss when Camille would close her office. Stephen walked her home every time, bought the most delicious ice cream on the way. After all, he quickly learned the tastes and preferences of this beauty, and called only Camille Camille. How could one resist such love, such care and such attention to details? When Stephen confessed his love and offered his hand and heart, Camille promised to think about it, smiling slyly and carefully watching his reaction. Yes, just kidding. I'm cute. I'm ready to give my answer even now, I agree. You scared me. I thought Christopher was giving you candy and fruit tea for a reason. The boss has a crush on you. You noticed Camille laughed. He thanked me so much to his nephew that he got a job in our firm. He asked me to help him. Well, the truth is that your rival came more than once and a little too decided to woo. But I didn't give my boss false hope. I like you. And they embraced. Stephen kissed Camille, kissed her eyes with his hands, gently pressing them to his heart. It didn't bother him that Camille was 5 years older. After all, she looked great. Dark hair, languid look of amazing, lustrous brown eyes, warm, deep and mysterious soft skin, charming smile, and attractive figure. Soon they moved in together. Stephen had his own apartment. Emily was left from her mother, and she herself moved to live in the village. Family life. Theirs with Camille at first developed quite happily. They loved each other. That was the most important thing. And the life was more or less organized from the very beginning. They had an apartment, and Stephen's mother constantly helped, even pampered with homemade products, kept the household, continued to work, got a job as a salesman in a rural grocery store. Stephen was earning well, and he did his best. Camille could not be pleased with such successes of her husband. They began to slowly put money aside and save for something they had long dreamed of, a car of their own, which they soon bought. And 4 years later, their son John was born. Tiny, so desirable and long awaited. They could not be happy about his appearance. Years ran, events flashed, plans were made. The son went to school, a diligent and kind boy. He studied well and diligently, but he loved animals and dreamed of becoming a veterinarian. And more than once he brought to the apartment a blind kitten, a puppy, a pigeon with broken wings. I treated it, nursed it back to health, and my mom helped. Only Stephen grumbled, turned the apartment into a living corner. What's that smell? I don't want to go home. What's with all the weird stuff? I'm already tired of taking my mother in the village, cured and rescued. She herself is terrified of so many animals. All the houses in the village have dogs, and the cats walk on their own. I brought them from the city and they catch mice. Well, at least that's a good thing. And the dogs guard the house. So they are useful too, 11-year-old John parried. Daddy, don't swear. It's another new pet. How did you get it? I'll be sleeping in the break room or the reception area at work. I'd rather sleep on the couch. Can't take it anymore. And sometimes Stephen slammed the door and really went to sleep at work, until it was not noticed. The secretary of the director, Christopher Evelyn, blue-eyed, brown-haired, slender with correct facial features, all so well-groomed with beautiful wavy hair and an attentive look. "What is it, Stephen? Your wife's kicking you out of the house. That's very naughty of her." "Yes, Evelyn, I'm sorry. Don't tell anyone. I'm ashamed, but I'm leaving. It's my choice. There's a couch to sleep on. The guard knows and lets me in. It's only been 5 times. Don't tell anyone, I beg you." But Camille couldn't stop her son from helping homeless animals. She herself cried when she saw them destitute and maimed. She was not one of the indifferent and cruel. And she also taught her son about humanity. We'd fed the kitties. Stray dogs were always fed from early childhood, rescued, carried puppies to the basement. We quarreled with the neighbors over them. And that's how the conflicts in the family began. Stephen loved cleanliness in the house and comfort, and his stance on life was categorical. Animals should live in private homes, not apartments, and even temporarily. He did not want them in his dwelling. Emily's mother-in-law started to get sick. She had been working for many years in the cafeteria, then in the store, and had to carry heavy cases of beer, lemonade, and other beverages to her workplace. This crippled her health. Her back ached. Already soon Emily could not walk well and needed care. Camille did not have to persuade anyone. She devoted herself to her ailing mother-in-law. She was still in charge of the house, cooking, order, comfort. Cats and dogs living temporarily. And on her days off, Camille would go to her mother-in-law's house, help with the housework, cooking, laundry. Such noble determination of her daughter-in-law caused the sick woman to cry profusely. She had never doubted that her son had made the right choice in taking as his wife this seemingly fragile woman, but in fact possessing a very strong, vital core of character. And here she was again convinced of it. Her mother-in-law was getting worse and worse. Her character was deteriorating, and Camille sometimes felt that it would be easier for her to work 2 or even 3 jobs than to look after a sick woman with her incessant sighs and complaints about her health and her life. She naturally felt sorry for Stephen's mother. The woman had lost her mother quite early in life, but she had been concerned about something else ever since she had neglected her beloved husband's behavior for lack of time. A major change had begun to take place. She hadn't cut her dark brown hair in a long time. There was gray in it. She simply gathered them into a long ponytail with a barrette. She didn't have time or energy to color her hair. She didn't do manicure, and only after weekends she cleaned and filed her nails, which were black from working and dating in the ground. My hands also got a dark color from tanning, and there were more wrinkles. Her eyes were tired, as was her slender figure. It wasn't easy living on 2 houses. John, of course, helped his mother as much as he could. Sometimes she wondered if Stephen had taken a mistress. There are a lot of beautiful and young women in the team, and even in his 40s he was quite an attractive man. Camille felt his coldness towards her for a reason. Her husband started dating Evelyn. They spent a lot of time dancing together at company parties, which Camille hadn't been to in a long time. She transferred to a part-time department and worked in 1 week. With the pace of life from fatigue and overwork, and Camille herself began to get sick. She lost weight. She shrank. Stephen hardly ever slept at home anymore. He was staying with Evelyn in her apartment, and their affair was gaining momentum. They spent their leisure time together and were run to the sea. Camille finally showed up a month later to explain himself. "Camille, you know very well that I have a good management position, and I need a wife to match my status. I'm sorry. You've been driven to your mom's house, but you don't have to take care of animals. You can take care of yourself once in a while. I don't really care. I've decided to file for divorce. Here's some money to get you started." And he carelessly threw an envelope of bills on the table, "and let's get out of the apartment. It's mine. No, Stephen, I don't want your handouts. I don't want to spoil your happy life, but I have something for you." My wife got tired, took a document out of the closet. "In the apartment, my dear, While your mother, Emily Road, formalized a deed of gift to me. You will own her farmhouse. But not now, darling. Not until after her death. So vacate the apartment. Be kind. John and I decided that we'll live in the village with your mother, and she won't be bored. And I'll have less traveling. And here we'll put some lodgers here. And we'll keep the car. Since we'll drive from there, I'll go to work and your son to school. He's got 3 more years of school. So goodbye, pack your things. Your mother did the right thing. Stephen's face stretched out. He just went numb and stood there with his jaw hanging open. It was a low blow, and of course, when he met his wife, after a couple of years, beautiful and blooming, the sullen Stephen hardly recognized her. He wanted now to go to their village and beg forgiveness. For Evelyn was quick to show her claws, her malice, and her real self. Cooking, she did not know how to cook and did not want to learn. Creating coziness in the house was not at all desirable, and neither was keeping order. Why hadn't he noticed this before? He had no idea of her answer. Now it was unchanged. I'm in my own home. If you don't like it, you can leave. You can sleep on the couch at work. You're used to it. And don't you dare raise your voice and make demands of me. I'm not your servant. And after 2 years of life with Evelyn, almost half a year of scandals and claims from her side, Stephen thought for a moment. He felt sad, remembering his loving, quiet wife Camille and his own son John.